Good evening, YouTubers. Welcome back into another edition of Astros Recap. David Artis back at it here. Another Sunday night at the radio station, so the noise you hear in the background is what is currently being played on the radio. So, a little tired tonight, so I'm trying my best here to stay awake as I speak. It's hard to actually go to sleep here, but I am tired, so if I'm a little bit monotone tonight, that is why. Didn't get a lot of sleep last night. But anyway, Astros wrapped up the series today, obviously. A little disappointing, obviously. Always talking to you off of a loss is a little worse than off of a win. But, yeah, it would have been sweet to sweep today as the Astros took the first two in the series. Weren't able to do it, and that was the same for the Baltimore series, Tuesday through Thursday, where they won the first two. So both, you go 4-2 this week, and that's good, and that's what you hope to do. So you can't be upset with that. But not being able to sweep one of those series is a little disappointing. So you look at the standings. The Astros, the Rangers have been playing really good baseball, so you're not really making up a lot of ground either. I mean, the Astros still sit 2.5 back, and the Rangers lost. Kind of a crazy game today where they were down 1-0 going into the 9th. They tie it up. They even take the lead top half of the 10th, and then they blow it with 2 outs in the bottom half of the 10th, getting up a 2-run home run. So that was at least good not to lose another game on them, but they've been playing good baseball lately, so it's hard to make up ground with them. But I think I'm going to look at this here. I think they're still 2.5 back, which isn't bad. So let's double check this. Yeah, 2.5 back, so they're not in terrible shape. A month and a half to go here. So I mean, Astros haven't been in this situation for a while. I mean, the COVID year was weird, and the Astros never really had a chance at the division. It felt like it was Oakland's division that entire shortened year. But yeah, the Astros haven't had the division lead all year, basically. The Rangers have. I still think the Astros will track them down. I think they will take this division, so I still have faith that they can get it done. That is if they stay healthy. And they do play the Rangers 3 more times this year, so you would be looking for 2 or 3 in that series. Don't want to jump too far ahead here, but yeah, the Rangers right now are playing pretty good. They've won 8 of their last 10. They've had a pretty favorable schedule, I want to say. They got Angels coming up. Angels have fallen off a cliff. Seattle's finally lost 2 in a row after winning 8 straight. But yeah, I mean, the Astros still hold the second wild card spot by 2.5 games over Toronto. So I mean, they're pretty decent shape at least. Dude, that's the way I look at this year so far. It's nice to have that basically as the alternative, which is the wild card. I mean, you want to win your division. That's still the goal, obviously, but having the wild card at least is sort of like a backup plan if they can't, win this division. And if you, play in that wild card game, 3-game series on the road, that could really go either way. So, yeah. So all caution, you want to avoid the wild card game if you can, that is. And the Astros slated right now, they'd be playing Tampa Bay and Tampa. Tampa, of course, without Shane McClanahan for the rest of the year, so that does benefit the Astros. And, after the deadline, picking up Verlander, Astros got a lot of options from a starting standpoint. So, it's kind of a weird thing they did. Obviously last Sunday I talked to you, and Urquidy got the start. J.P. France came out of the bullpen. This go around, I think Hunter Brown's actually placed the bullpen, and they're going to start. Who are they going to start tomorrow? It should be out already. Framber Valdez tomorrow, and that would usually be, I guess, a Hunter Brown start. But Hunter Brown will be out of the bullpen, so they're going to piggyback him with somebody coming up here. But sort of an interesting way. The way you're doing it, you don't really have. I mean. Your 6 guys would be Valdez, Javier, Verlander, Hunter Brown, J.P. France, Jose Urquidy. That's your 6 guys, but it's like you're putting one of those guys in the bullpen to piggyback a start. And I get sort of the premise of this. you're trying to limit the innings of some of these young guys, people like Hunter Brown, people like J.P. France, because those guys haven't pitched, Even Christian Javier falls into that category. Guys that have not pitched, major 200-inning workload seasons. It's hard to just, throw them out there every fifth day and say, do your thing. It's hard to do that. These guys, you don't want them to be drained come playoff time. So, Verlander even felt a little victim to that last year. So, yeah, you're trying to keep these guys fresh, and you're trying not to, overwork them. So I can understand that aspect of things. So, yes. But, yeah, just looking to this week, beating Baltimore on Tuesday, there was a crazy game. They were down basically the entire way. They were down 5-0, I believe, at one point. But scored a few runs. And even in the ninth, down 3 against Felix Bautista, who's one of the better closers in all of baseball. To load the bases and for Kyle Tucker to come through in a big way there with the grand slam was huge to get that win. And then Tuesday, it was a close, tight game in the late innings, 3-2. And to push across the insurance runs at the end was nice. And then almost be able to come back on Thursday as well would have been nice, but didn't happen. So, yeah, they were close to sweeping, couldn't get it done. They lost by a run after sort of rallying a little bit there in the ninth. Same thing today. I mean, the offense didn't show up, and, that's sort of been the Astros story, especially after they have a big high-scoring output. They usually don't come back the next day, especially day game after night game. Now, they scored 11 runs on Friday and 11 more on Saturday. And then today they only muster 1 run. And that was actually scored on a pass ball. So, yeah, that was like, yeah, I hate when I see the Astros score 10 or more runs because I just feel like the next day it's going to be a struggle. So, that wasn't the case Saturday, but was definitely the case today. So, no off day though. I mean, they got to play early tomorrow at 5:30. They got three straight 5:30 starts in Miami. So, off day's Thursday this week. I'll be out of town next week. I don't know. I won't be here at the radio station. I'll be in Freeport. I don't know exactly when we get back Sunday, but hopefully I'll have time that night. But yeah, I mean, Friday and Saturday's games this weekend were very low stress, and the Astros broke out, and it was just sailing to victory basically. Today I thought they could maybe get a chance, maybe get something going, but they just really couldn't. But yeah, pitching's been fine for the most part. I mean, I can't think of anybody. I mean, Valdez wasn't good on Tuesday again, so he had the no-hitter, and you're hoping, build off that, or at least, maybe that was a sign. But no, he resorted right back to the guy he's been, at least for the last month or whatever it's been. Valdez has not been a good pitcher, not an ace, but that sure has not. I mean, Verlander's your ace right now. In fact, I'd argue J.P. France is more of an ace than anybody right now. I mean, that's the way it's been. I mean, you just go look at the numbers. J.P. France, every time he goes out there, it's like 6 innings, 2 runs, 7 innings, 2 runs. I mean, he's not overpowering. He doesn't strike out a ton of people, but he gets the job done every time out. He's the most consistent Astros pitcher this year. And his ERA is the only one of the Astros starters that has an ERA under 3 is J.P. France. And the sample size is there now. I mean, he's made 10 to 15 starts at least. Somewhere in that range. So, I mean, the sample size, I think, is there for J.P. France. So, he's been their best pitcher. We'll see what Verlander gives them, but Verlander, again, is 40. So, expecting Verlander to be his, Cy Young self, which he was last year, kind of hard to expect. But you want him to be super solid, eat up the innings and pitch us, quality, at least quality baseball, at the very least. So, he did get the win Saturday. So, sort of scrambling, going back and forth with some games here, but just trying to pick up the storylines here for you. Also, another one is Jose Abreu and Phil Maton both have been placed on the IL. Also, who else got placed on the IL? So I didn't see the play. Maton got hit. I don't know if it was the arm or the back or whatever it was by a line drive, which I did not see actually happen. But that's why he's on the IL. Abreu's been dealing with some sore, I don't know the exact update. It's something sore, like a shoulder or I don't know what it is, but he's dealing with something. Yeah, he's got a sore shoulder, sore what, I don't know what it is. But putting him on the IL, actually, who else they put? They put somebody else in the IL, I thought. Anyway, Singleton was called up this week. Drew a big walk on Tuesday, hit 2 home runs Saturday, and he's actually playing first base every day now with the Abreu injury, which is actually a good audition for him. Because I'll say this, and I won't be shy and blunt about it. If Singleton shows them anything at the plate, that's better than what Abreu's given you all year. So, I mean, he's hit 2 home runs. He's drawn some key walks. Even when he's 0 for, like today, he was 0 for 2, but he got on base twice with 2 walks. Like, Abreu doesn't even give you good at-bats, and Singleton's at least doing that. But, I mean, listen, Abreu's on the IL. If Singleton continues to get on base and give you good at-bats and hit maybe a few more home runs in the next 10 days he might play, I see no way, no how you go back to Abreu. It makes 0 sense. Now, the Astros and Jim Crane and Dana Brown and Dusty Baker are stubborn. They paid Abreu all this money, so they feel obligated to have to use him. They also feel that way with Rafael Montero. Now, Montero has been better. I do need to give him some credit because he has been better in low-leverage situations, mop-up roles, getting through an inning, basically. He's been better. I don't still see him as any high-leverage guys. I mean, they got their guys that are high-leverage, although not great. And I, look at people like Brian Abreu, Hector Neris, Kendall Graveman. I'm not going to put Graveman in that category, but Neris and Abreu, I said this last week, never make it easy. They never have 1, 2, 3 innings. They just never can come in, and it doesn't feel like shut down baseball when they come in. Now, they get the job done more often than not, but again, I like my other guys to not, make me stress out every inning. It's just, it's not the same. It's not like the way it was last year. And Presley's fine. I have no issue. Presley had his little hiccup where he, struggled a little bit. He had that one blow up in, against the Angels coming out of the All-Star break. But since that, he's been great. So, yeah, he's got like 37 or 28 saves, something like that. He's close to. See if I can find this last save. It would have been on Tuesday. It would have been Tuesday, and he got his 27th save. So, yeah, it's 27 of 30. I think he's blown 3 this year. So, but, yeah, that's where we're at. The Astros, record sits at, I sort of gave you the standings, but 68-51, 17 games over. But yeah, you keep winning the series, I can't complain. So I can't complain about this week. It would have been nice to get a sweep, obviously. I hate going into every series expecting that, but that wasn't the case. The case was, with this week, you had 2 opportunities to really finish these series off, and they couldn't do it. So that was disappointing in that aspect. Those need to be, when you have the opportunity to sweep teams, you need to be able to get it done. Astros weren't able to. But yeah, I don't got a whole bunch for you. The injuries. Alvarez hasn't done a lot in basically a week. I haven't seen him do much of anything. So usually Alvarez doesn't slump like this, and it's only been a week of baseball. But he hit a home run, had a big base hit. I can't think of that. I mean, Tucker's been great. Altuve's been great. He was 0 for today, but he came in with like a 15-game hitting streak, and he was playing very well. Bregman, again, is very inconsistent, hit or miss. Pena played well Friday and Saturday this past week, 2 days ago, and yesterday. Didn't play today, though. He got the day off. Great Kessinger. It's a joke he's even on this roster. Like, why is Kessinger on this roster? And they brought up David Hensley. That was for... So Parker Mushinski was called up for Maton. I think... Yeah. Because Singleton was called up before Abreu went on the IL. And I'm trying to remember who came up for, but... Who went out? Who got... Someone went out. It was... I can't remember who it was. Oh, Corey Julks. Yeah, because they sent Corey Julks down. Singleton came up for Julks. And then, yeah, Maton goes on the IL, so Parker Mushinski gets called up. And then, yeah, they bring up Hensley, which is also, it's a wasted roster. Like, Greg Kessinger, David Hensley are wasted roster spots. That's all they are. You have to have 26 guys up here, so they had to settle for David Hensley, who's been a total disappointment this year. And Greg Kessinger's done nothing, albeit small sample size, but he's done nothing to show me that he should be an everyday player or really even any part of this team. So, yeah, Julks was sent down because he had been struggling mightily. And, yeah, they wanted to give Singleton a chance. And I think that's, like I said, Singleton shows you any consistent, good at-bats. That's an improvement over Abreu. I mean, there's no doubt about it. Abreu, Bregman, and Pena have been the three disappointments. Now, you know, Bregman will have some good series, and then he'll fall right back into his little hole. You know, Abreu's, it was July or June. He had a good June, I think, or a decent June. Compared to what he was in April and May, hard to be worse, but the June was like, if you stretch the June out over 6 months, you take it. July was bad, and he hasn't done much in August either. So he's been good, or decent. I should not good, but decent 1 month. June, that's it. So Singleton doesn't have to do a whole lot here to prove he's a better first baseman. I mean, he can't be any worse than Abreu is at first defensively. That's clear. Although I will give Abreu some credit. He hasn't been bad at first base. He hasn't been great, but not bad. But Singleton doesn't have to do a whole lot to basically take the spot. And the Astros, well, it'd be Dusty Baker. And Dusty Baker makes bad lineup decisions. Every day he continues to use Maldi as his primary catcher over Diaz. And the fact that he can't get Diaz in the lineup. So, knowing Dusty and the way he manages the ball games, and listen, I don't like to be the fire Dusty guy, but I see this playing out. If Abreu comes back, no matter how good Singleton does, he's going to play Abreu because Abreu's making all this money. That's why they still use Montero. Montero's making all this money. I'll trust Dusty to make the bad lineup choice by the time Abreu comes back. Now, if Singleton struggles, he doesn't do much the next 10 days or whatever it might be, then okay. But, again, Singleton doesn't have to do much because Abreu didn't set the bar necessarily that high. So that's the way I look at it. But yeah, that's about it. Bullpen, not much has changed there. Starters, I mean, we've been pretty good. Urquidy was good today. Hunter Brown's had a few good, decent, quality starts in a row. J.P. France went 7 innings of 2 runs yesterday. I'm pretty good with the starting rotation. We'll see how this sort of piggyback thing works in the bullpen. But, yeah. Yeah. That's about all I got for you, really. I can't really elaborate. I mean, the Astros, I think, widened. Well, they had a 3.5 game lead, actually, on Toronto. They lost today, the Astros, and Toronto won, so they gained a game. Seattle's finally lost a few. I sort of talked about that already. But, yeah, we'll wrap things up there. We're coming up on 20 minutes here, and a little over 19. But, yeah, love to hear your comments in the section below. If I talk to you next week, I'll plan to talk to you next week. It won't be here, though. It'll probably be back at the house. So, yeah. But we'll wrap things up. I'm trying to cover all bases here. If anything I left out necessarily. But, yeah, I mean, injury-wise, pretty good. But, yeah, Maton. I think Maton and Abreu, like, if you're asking me two people that need sort of a week or two off, like those are two guys. Maton struggled out of the bullpen lately, and Abreu's been a disaster for the better part of the year. So they probably could use the rest, even if they're not. I don't think either of them are major injuries, and I didn't see Maton get hurt or whatever it was. But I think they're both minor, so more precautionary than anything else. So, but yeah. And yeah, Julks sent down, obviously, yeah. Bring up Singleton, you bring up Hensley, you bring up Mushinski. But yeah, 3 with the Marlins, and then they get Seattle for 3 back at home. It'd be nice to give Seattle some payback because they've played you well this year. So, but yeah, I got the news coming up here. I got to run, so I'll wrap things up there. Love to hear your comments, like the video, share it with your friends, all the good stuff. Subscribe, hit that little bell button there on the page, and subscribe so you get the updates when my podcasts come out. Every week, every Sunday is the goal. That'll be the goal going through the rest of the season here. And then things change a little bit come playoff time. But yeah, wrap things up there. Talk to you in a week.